Hey all! Today I'm going to talk about one of the more curious voyages of the Revenge of the Fallen line, Stratosphere. Why do I find him curious? For the simple reason, he is and he isn't in the movie. A plane like him, with a very similar ability, did fly in the movie, but it was a different plane. So, yes and no. Officially he wasn't in the movie, and actually that's just as well, because if he was, well, the entire railgun part probably wouldn't have been needed, because Stratosphere is so large he'd probably tower even over Devastator. So yeah, he'd probably beat snot out of Devastator, or probably give me your face, and he'd probably wear it as bandana, something like that. Now, Stratosphere, the one we have, is actually a fairly nice toy, which, when completely transformed and fully stretched out, towers even over leader class figures. Not by his head, but I'll show you when I compare him. Here's a little gimmick, which is the one I referred to a moment ago. Turn this, and there comes out a tiny, tiny, tiny Optimus Prime. The smallest transforming Optimus Prime there is. There is one smaller Optimus figure, which doesn't transform, but for transforming figures, which you can get normally, because I've heard of, or at least I recall hearing something of them trying to make one with cells, but this is the one smallest we can get for money. So let's transform him. It's a very tiny thing. It's about the size of a micro machine, in my opinion, if someone remembers those. It isn't the best looking Prime ever, but nonetheless, it's a nice figure. And to compare him with his leader class version, yes, he really is that incredibly tiny. Let's see, he's barely taller than his head. Like, that tiny he is. And if you then compare these, then imagine how large Stratosphere should be if he could hold this one. I don't think he'd fit in my room. Right, let's transform Stratosphere himself. Or, no, wait. Let's go into detailing first. Transparent cockpit, at least windows, which is nice. There is some detailing on the wings, Autobot symbols, also on the rear, both sides the same one, which looks fairly nice. It's really not lying what it is. There's some lettering here. I have no idea what it is for. CGRD 677. I have no idea what it stands for, but it probably will have a link like most other numbers found on Transformers in the last few lines. But oh well. You're free to pose how you want these ones, but there isn't really a set pose that they really lock into place. So, well, there's one thing which annoys me, which are these orange parts on the wing or on the engines. This kind of orange is normally used for the covers of engines, not for the engines themselves. So that looks a bit awkward for someone who knows planes, at least. It does have a little pair of wheels which you can flip out, and here you have the remaining wheels, which shows how many he needs. Only one really rolls, but oh well. let's fold it up. So, yeah, let's transform him. Let's start off with one thing, which I usually forget halfway, so I do it first, which also leads for some interesting effects. Press underneath on the wheel which you folded in, and you can press up the robot head and lock it into place. So yeah, like you can fly like this. A bit awkward, but oh well. I've seen stranger things. Pull up his wings and the panels which are connected to them. Pretty much fold them up like this, and this allows you to pretty much collapse it all like this. Take his arms. This is also one of the nicer parts of him. There's an automorph in his chest, which spreads open the cockpit and presses it forward somewhat. And his arms are pretty much done. Now in the rear you have all these panels which will collapse in a moment. First of all, let's take out his legs. It's a question of just getting it all loose from each other. It's packed here with one big pack, which keeps it quite tightly together. The rest is just a question of pull it all apart with a lot of force. Of course, there is nothing simple, straightforward to it otherwise than that. Right, you're left with this. Now let's collapse it all up. First of all, fold down these hips. Leave this back. Now at this point you really need to eject Prime, because he can't stay in there in robot mode. And collapse it all up. Back the waist to the chest, like that, and then fold up the legs the way you want them. You can keep them completely straight like this, which when done like this leaves him pretty much as tall as a leader class, as I said, even the wings even going above the size of a leader class, which is nice, but that's not entirely the best way to do it. You can fold up these rear wings the way you want to, so that leaves you some freedom. That's actually one of those things which I really like about this line. A lot of these figures all have these things which you can adjust and put down the way you want them. So you could leave them like this, also works quite well. Anyway, for the legs, fold this back, this one as well. And you're left with chicken legs. Now he's a lot shorter. Now he reaches normal Voyager size, but still impressive looking in my opinion. And let's compare him to his little tiny Prime self counterpart, which goes along with him. I think this is one of the higher play value Transformers to get. He also has good articulation due to all the joints which he has. He even has double joints in his elbows. Doesn't really allow for full flex, but good enough. Actually, the only thing which I really think is lacking is a rotation in the wrist, as the rest of the hand is actually articulated. So I wish they had added at least that rotation, but oh well. He actually has holes in his hands to hold guns, and originally he was planned to have actually a gun. As you can see, here is also a hole where the same gun could also plug in, and that gun would have been a transformable little space shuttle, which is sadly missing in this figure. I hope maybe one day we'll get it, perhaps through Fans Project. Perhaps they'll make it a scout out of it. Who knows? Anyway, this was Eucep thinking this is an excellent toy which you should get. Later.